Hello and welcome back, unless you happen to be watching these videos concurrently, in which case it might be more appropriate to say, why are you still here? I'm going to talk a little bit about track planning. In a very brief introductory video we saw the space that I had allocated for the layout. So now we know what room we've got to work with, and it's probably very important to find somewhere where a layout can go before you start building something, and then work with that, even if it's limiting. Sometimes you don't have space for a huge layout you think you might like. I use a software program called AnyRail to do actual track planning once I've worked out the dimensions of where this layout will go. So that's pretty much what's going to be going on down there in the garage. And this is, I quite like this program. I tend to do a lot of track planning. I quite enjoy track planning, but you can get sort of carried away and get more planning than actual building done, which I've run afoul of many times myself. So, as I said, the layout is nothing inspiring. We have, here the terminus, and this is a case of like also deciding what sort of layout do you want. What sort of things do you want to do with your trains? Do you just want to watch them go round and round? Do you like to make up consists and break them down, switch and shunt a lot of cars, things like that? I happen to like passenger trains, and usually quite long passenger trains, 5 and 6 carriages at least in 00 scale. And that means you're going to need some long areas. So this section off to the left here is going to be a terminus. If those of you who know track plans or model railways will probably recognize it's very similar to the quite famous Cyril Freezer track plan, terminus track plan called Minories. So it's unashamedly heavily influenced by that. The layout itself, the larger part of the layout, is just going to be a basic oval, third and second radius Hornby track. No first radius, so I'll try to keep, because I'll be running passenger cars a lot, try and keep a bit of generous radius there, so it helps with the running and they don't look too bad. But again, nothing flash here. I decided with this, what I would really like to do is sit there and watch the trains go, passenger trains go rolling along. And again, I'm not getting too crazed, as I often do, about period and locale, and I really admire those sort of layouts though that people do. They make Luton Station as it appeared on Tuesday, March 27th, 1937 at 3 p.m. I still admire that kind of level of work, but that's really not the layout I'm going to have time or money to build at this stage. I want to see some trains running. I want my little daughter, who's only 2.5, to see trains running, and because I had a train layout from a very young age, 5. And so that's really what we're going. It's going to be fairly basic. It'll have a lot of scenery. I love doing scenery, so it'll be quite a scenic layout. This section in here, is planned to have village, road bridge there, viaduct here, because I love brick arch railway viaducts. So I'm definitely going to have one across here with the roadbed recessed. There's a castle going to go up in the corner. I forgot there is a brick pillar that cuts in to this corner here. Only when I was down there working on the layout today, I realized, like, oops. But I'm going to disguise that by a castle. So there'll be a back scene across here and a back scene across here. And that corner is going to become a hill with a castle, because I always wanted an English castle on a layout. We were just recently in Scotland and seeing lots of castles and things, and I do like that. So there'll be a couple of tunnels through here, a cutting, and yeah, I like doing scenery. I've always liked the scenic element, so it'll be quite a visual, pleasing layout, but nothing very flash. But in even a simple layout like this, and this is dimension-wise, it's only 2.4 meters that way, and it'll be about 2.8 meters across that way. It's 1200 wide across here. It's not a huge layout. I didn't want to try and take over the entire garage, because it's a family garage. We have other uses for the space down there. So, and again, I didn't want to get into building too much that I'll never get completed or even get to a good stage of completion. I really want to get something up and running and to show for my efforts. And as I was saying, I'm not going to go too crazed about the locale. It's going to be roughly early British Railways, the the inauguration of after the war. It was in 1948, wasn't it? They nationalised the railways. So it'll have early steam, no, actually late steam, early diesel, British Rail, double O gauge largely, passenger trains. But I like lots of other trains, and I'm not going to worry about justifying having things on the layout. If I like a train and I have the train, I'm going to run it. So there's, of course, some wonderful American trains that I've always admired and liked to see running. There's some of the German trains, the Swiss and German T trains, the 4-car sets. I really like those trains. And even maybe some of the modern stuff. So I want to run an Amtrak FP40 or something with Superliner cars. I'll do it because it's my layout, it's my hobby, and I want to enjoy it how I want, basically. And people really should. Yeah, hobbies are meant to be fun. You get dragged down into the planning of things, and it can be more like hard work than fun. So what I have actually built in is a fair amount of operating ability, because most of the time, again, you have to think about what sort of layout you're going to build. Are you going to be operating this with friends, with mates, with family members, or is it just going to be you on your own running some trains? So, and that's pretty much, it'll be me down there playing with the trains. So we have the terminus as indicated up here. What I can do there is make up and break down passenger trains while letting one merrily run around the oval. And then with the return loop part, call that back in and so forth. I could even use these sections of the track as holding sections and make up and run out 3 passenger trains. Park the first one round to there, park the second one here, and park the third one there, and then bring them back into the station in that order if I want. If I want to just have a session of just running the terminal and making up trains. This portion up here, I'm thinking I may extend that a little bit, become like a sort of fiddle yard, a hidden fiddle yard where I can bring equipment on and off from. So I can run it pretty much like that section as a point to loop kind of layout. And as I said, just sometimes I just want to whack them on and let them run in a circle and just sit there and sip whiskey. I quite enjoy that too. This is designed to be done in phases or stages. First is this part here, the table section. This is not elevated, there's no grades, it's flat. The second stage, the spur, will become the terminus, so that'll be built second. The third phase is where I got a little wild and crazy. Is this spur line here, which seems to be going nowhere at the moment, but that's going to be put in with a view to expansion. That grey line there is a window. You probably saw it in the first video. What's eventually going to happen is I'm going to take that spur line out through that window. There'll be a drop-in connector piece, so when the window goes up, that will drop in. And I'm going to run a line down the side of the house. This is the garage wall, is the right side of the house, because the garage is actually partially under the house. And run that down into the backyard and into a return loop and come back from there. So I'll be able to get longer runs and have long mainline trains running out into the garden in double O scale. I was inspired by, many years ago, I had a copy of Railway Modeler magazine. It was a garden special, and there was people running double O gauge in the garden. And I was always thought that would be a fun thing to do. Of course, you've got to, prepare the line, sweep the line, check the lines. You can only do it on fine days, of course. So that's why it'll be the third phase, to make sure that it's a viable option. But ideally, what that then gives me will be a loop-to-loop layout, where I can just let the trains run around out into the garden when the weather's good, back inside, while I'm having more trains arrive or made up on the terminus. So even a small and fairly basic, as far as design elements layout, is designed to have a fair amount of operational ability, variety, and to be done in incremental stages, so that I've actually got a chance of getting this thing finished and up and running in the way it was originally envisioned. So pretty much that's what we're at. Track planning is a lot of people just sort of have a rough idea and wing it. This is not too locked in. Some of this may have to be changed and altered slightly once construction begins, once we get into actually down in there and working on things. But overall, I'm quite happy with how it's turned out. So this is called AnyRail, this program. It's running on a PC. This is actually the free trial version. You're limited to 50 pieces of track. I really should fork out the money and get the fully upgraded version, because I do quite like this. It's quite easy, intuitive to use. I can like check my dimensions here and things like that. So I found a good guide to what I'm going to be able to do in the space I have. So if you're looking for a software program, check this out. I'm quite fond of this. I'm quite happy with it. And so the next thing is actually to get into the space and start building things. So that's where we're up to. So thanks you once again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.